Welcome back to Holistic Healing Association. I'm Erin Darcy. I'm certified in embodied processing and clinical hypnosis. Today, we're going to do a very important and close to my heart topic. It's on domestic abuse. United Nations states that 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual trauma. This is not okay. We need to look as a society why this is happening. Why are the statistics so high? This is our children. This is our sisters. And these are our mothers, our aunts, our friends. Let's say no to abuse of any kind: emotional, psychological, physical, sexual. Let's stand up today. Let's stand up as women. Let's stand up as people, united as one, and say no. Not to my sister, not to my friend, not to my family, not to my daughter. I have with me a very special guest, all the way from Kenya, who's a psychologist. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, Irene, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. Like she has said, my name is Ruth Waithira. I'm a psychologist and an emotional wellness coach, as well as a narcissistic abuse recovery expert. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm happy to be here with all of us today as we have this very critical discussion on matters abuse.
Thank you. And what are your passions in life? What do you love to do?
Wow, I love to do many things, but my greatest passions in life is to see women rise. I mean, there's nothing that gives me so much more joy than to see women rise above trauma, difficult, unfortunate life experiences, to be authentic. Because I love to think, what's the point of living if you're not living authentically, if you're not living in purpose? So anything that revolves around authentic living and bringing women back to their space gives me so much joy.
Thank you. And have you personally experienced a trauma in your life?
Yes, I have. I have experienced several kinds of trauma, but the one that left me with the greatest impact was a relationship that I was in that was abusive. And the most unfortunate bit is that that relationship was abusive in a way that I was not aware. All I thought is that the relationship is difficult because I was never verbally insulted, like called a name or anything. I was never physically beaten. I actually was given what looked like a good life. But deep in there, I was getting lost. I was dying slowly, and I didn't have the right words to really talk about my experience. I couldn't tell what was happening until many, many years later. That's when, out of a lot of research and reading and soul searching, I woke up to the realization that, all along, I've been abused. I've been abused. And that was traumatic. That was heavy. That was confusing. It also came with a lot of grief. And that journey was hard and tough. But thank God I made it and I'm on this other side. So that for me is one of those experiences that left me with the greatest level of trauma. It did.
And how did you start to recognize the signs that you were in an abusive relationship?
Wow. For a long time, all I knew that relationship was difficult. I was unseen. I felt very, very unseen. I felt very, very unheard. I felt like almost completely misunderstood. And now my life revolved around making sure that this person saw me, that they understood me, that they heard me. Now, later on is when I realized the reason as to why I always felt unseen and unheard is because there was a lot of invalidation of experiences, a lot of gaslighting, like somebody wanting me to almost jump out of my truth and out of my own reality. So I found myself doing a lot of explaining myself, like overly explaining myself, overly questioning what it is that I am presenting, what it is I'm trying to talk about. Then there was also a lot of silent treatment. Like every time there was a disagreement, every time I tried to hold him accountable, I would be followed by this, like a wall, like a stone wall moment where the person is just quiet, he's not talking to me, and I am there questioning myself and wondering, what did I do wrong? Now, later on, when I came to understand about abuse and started reading about emotional and psychological abuse, that's when I realized, all along, these were tactics that were employed in an effort to manipulate me or to actually have me live my life in a certain kind of way. So silence treatment was one of those signs that made me realize I was being abused. And the fact that I was always trying to explain myself, even when I thought I was using the clearest and the best words and, think about a conversation before I bring it forth, I was always misunderstood. That's when I realized, there are these things that are called things like gaslighting and blame shifting. Everything that went wrong in that relationship always revolved around me. Every conversation came back to what I'm not doing or what I'm doing that is wrong, and never about the other person. And the other person had no capacity to take accountability. So I found myself in a tight situation where I'm blamed, I'm given silent treatment. It's like my truth does not exist.
That's hard, your truth not existing.
Yes, yes. That's very difficult. And that's normally one of those very difficult things about being a victim of abuse. So it's like you cease to be, and everything becomes about the other person. And it's an impossible way to live.
And what does gaslighting mean?
Gaslighting is literally where somebody is trying to speak you out of your own truth and your own reality. So you will say, they will, oh, let's say, for example, they will say something or they'll do something, and you're very sure you saw it right, you're very sure you had it right. But then the moment you start to present this thing to them, and maybe you're seeking for accountability, that thing is twisted around in a way that makes you question your reality. Like, did I hear it right? Did I see it right? You even hear cases and situations where people are saying, maybe I need to start recording these conversations. Maybe I need to start keeping the screenshots of the messages so that next time I want to have a conversation with this person, I have evidence to present. Because you start to feel like you're crazy. Like it's not what you had, it's not how you had it, it's not what you saw, it's not how you saw it. And becomes this crazy making experience that you almost no longer know what truth is and what truth is not. And that is deep psychological trauma.
Yes,
Yes, that's deep psychological trauma.
yes. And there's other types of abuse. I've experienced physical abuse just
Mm-hmm.
once in my
Mm-hmm.
life, and I never let it happen again. I was
Mm-hmm.
dating a man. He was a lot
Mm-hmm.
larger than I was. I was in my early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
and he grabbed my throat and started strangling me.
Oh.
And I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back in like fast and as hard as I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to out physical him. And I fought him off me. And that was the end of it. It never happened again. He
Yeah.
told me not to tell anyone
Mm-hmm.
because he's too good of a guy. He's too
Mm-hmm.
nice of a person. And
Mm-hmm.
no one would believe me, particularly his twin sister. And that he was just playing. And I didn't understand what to think of the situation or how to handle the situation. And I was just kind of shocked.
Mm,
And I was camping with him and I was with my parents.
mhm,
And I went back, didn't say anything to my parents, finished the camping trip. And then shortly after that, it was done. Uh,
mm,
Often there were signs in a relationship.
mhm,
Um, but in this relationship, we dated about 6 or 9 months. I can't say there was much or many signs. Um,
mm,
and then there was another relationship that I got into that I became married. We dated for 2 years. We did not live together before we were married. 6 weeks into the marriage, he started to become verbally and emotionally mean. Again, this was shocking. Because very mild, calm, gentle
mm,
spoken. And then he
mhm,
started becoming, so I was shocked. And then I
mhm,
started to become angry. And I remember going to a counselor and I saying, I'm angry. And they
mhm,
were like, you don't seem like you're an angry person. What's happening? And I
mhm.
told them. And I believe that's one of the first times I was told that I was being abused.
Ah,
And it escalated. It never became physical. His dad also committed suicide that year and had a miscarriage a couple months later.
mm,
And then the abuse became more and more intense to at the point I was in fetal position, crying on the ground. And he'd walk past and say that you're weak and that I thought I married a tough athlete. Again, similar to what you said, does not take ownership of their own stuff.
Jones, yeah,
Everything's your fault.
yeah.
Um, and I ended up writing a 50-page document and sending it into the Catholic Church.
Mhm,
He went through about 5 or 6 professionals trying to get help. So he was a man that went and tried to get help a lot and
mhm,
spent a lot of money. Uh,
mhm,
and I went to every session with him in support. And he came from a very abusive home life.
mhm,
I cannot say he's a bad person. He's a person that struggles emotionally.
mm,
There's forgiveness there, but
mhm.
there's also strong boundaries.
Yeah.
And I was annulled in the Catholic Church.
Mhm,
Um, and now there's peace. Going through the trauma, going through the abuse made me hypervigilant,
mhm,
made me feel a lot of anxiety, a lot of shame from what people said to me. Because a lot of people said things that were not kind, that caused a lot of shame and self-isolation.
yeah.
So it definitely was an eye opener, and I learned a lot from the experience.
Mm,
Um, and I have to say, the person's not bad. They have struggles.
yeah.
Um, and one of the best healings for me was understanding that because then I was able to forgive. And that doesn't mean forgive and let in. That means forgive and have boundaries.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your
And
story.
how did your abusive relationship affect your nervous system?
Oh, I became anxious. Anxiety is one of the things that I carried with me for more than that relationship lasted 15 years. And for more than 10 of those, I was a highly anxious person. I would get a lot of brain fog. Like you feel like your mind is literally disconnected from the rest of your body. I found myself running at night. Like in the middle of the night, I'm in panic mode. I just jump out of bed and I'm running. And I catch myself at the door and I'm like, what is that? Only for it to come and realize it's because the trauma that came with that relationship was beyond a heartbreak. It was like a soul deep. So I was deeply traumatized. I was deeply anxious. Got into a space where I couldn't even make simple decisions. Like you go to the market and you can't decide what color of shoe. It's my shoe. It's my very simple decision. But you don't want to do anything that triggers this person. So you walk around feeling extremely anxious that I almost couldn't function. I almost couldn't function. So my nervous system was was on high alert. And it also took me a lot of time after that to learn how to calm my nervous system down and to deal with anxiety and to establish safety, even for myself, because 15 years of being in that space had really, really messed me up. So for me, the greatest thing that happened to my nervous system there, like the most detrimental, was the anxiety that came with being in that relationship.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Yeah.
walking in eggshells.
Oh yeah, walking on eggshells. Like you're around this person, you can't be you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be you. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what mood you'll find them in today, whether it's a good one or a bad one. You don't know how to behave when you find them in whatever mood you find them. And then it had also gotten to a place where there was nothing about me that was good. There was always something to complain about. That really also affects my self-esteem and how I feel about myself. So I'm always afraid because you don't know what you'll be reprimanded for today. You don't know what the complaint will be about today. Like literally every aspect of my being was wrong, according to him.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of walking on eggshells.
I've
Lots
experienced
of it.
that. It's hard,
Yes,
very difficult, very stressful, makes you very anxious.
yes, yes.
It's not a
It's
healthy
super
environment.
stressful. It's no way to live actually. Because
No.
you're not living, you're actually on survival.
Exactly, you're in survival.
You're on survival. Your nervous system is always tensed up. There's no, I like to, you can't exhale. You can't, no, you can't do that. You are always on high alert and it's tight and it's tension and it's stress and it's no way to live. It's no
No.
way to live. Yeah,
And no
absolutely.
woman deserves to live like that. We deserve respect.
Yeah,
Why do women get into abusive relationships?
I think we get into abusive relationships because one, one is lack of self-awareness. Because many of us make those choices from my own story and from the stories I've heard of women. It comes from a space where you are either broken, you are lonely, you are trying to fill a gap, or you got into that relationship not for the right reasons. And unfortunately, for many of us, at that moment when you're making that decision, that your subconscious mind makes that decision for you. Unfortunately, for many of us, when we're making that decision, we are not conscious. We don't even know what love is or what love is not. So many women get into abusive relationships because they're either trying to fill a hole, they're trying to fill a gap, they are lonely, they are coming from a space where they've been broken. So you have come from a very difficult relationship, you haven't processed that, and then the next person you encounter who gives you attention, really, or shows you a bit of affection, you fall for it before you have taken time to discover yourself, to understand yourself, and to know who you truly are and what you stand for. So I think for me, women get into abusive relationships because they're trying to fill a gap.
Okay. For
Yeah,
me,
there's
though,
something they're looking. Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
I was saying there's something they're looking for.
Okay. For me,
Yeah. Mhm.
I know the second relationship I just spoken about, when I met him, I was on top of the world
Mhm.
already. Not when I met
Mhm.
him, before I met him.
Mm-hmm.
I had a ton of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I was running a successful business. I was running a boot camp and an outdoors club.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of things going for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him, I thought I picked up something. But then all my friends were like, no, 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 he's great, he's great, he's great. So I was like, okay. And
Uh-huh.
then it just kind of, and there was a lot of good parts of him. So then you see those, and I fell in love. Um, my parents growing up had a very healthy relationship. They were like best friends. I was very much sheltered though. And that's what some of the professionals said is maybe because I'd never seen anything bad, I hadn't recognized it. But I didn't really see anything bad or big red flags in that relationship until we got married. And sometimes you don't until you're living in the same house environment. And then
Yes.
you are a lot more close quarters. And until someone has done a lot of healing, that can be a big trigger for a person living in close quarters. And then being me, there was a lot of triggers happening for him. Um, and how can developmental trauma impact our choice of partners as adults?
As adults, developmental trauma, from experience and from what I've seen, one of the things that happens there is that it affects your identity. Who are you? Whose are you? What are you worthy of? Or what are you unworthy of? Does it also affect your feelings of safety? Like, are you able to identify what safety looks like and what lack of safety looks like from a nervous system level also? Because many women who grew up in homes where maybe there was abuse, or maybe they were abused as children, maybe there was a lot of chaos, sometimes their nervous system is not able to identify what peace feels like. So they're used to chaos. So the kind of people they'll find appealing are the kind of people that introduce the same level of chaos as their nervous system knows, because we fall in love with what is familiar.
Mm.
So if chaos is what you have been used to, you don't understand peace. And they will also, many of them have a lot of struggles relating with people that are healthy. You know, people that are healthy may come with a bit of calmness. There's no chaos. They are not ghosting. So they look like, this is boring. And you know, chaos can be addictive. It's like a dopamine shot. It can be addictive. So if you've come from a space that is chaotic, you are likely going to gravitate towards people who are chaotic. That chaos need not be physical or loud. It can be very subtle chaos. Like someone going quiet on you and then you have to chase them. You have to chase them. You want to find out, what did I say? What did I do? And then the comeback is so powerful and then you feel so good. And then now you have some good moment, because it also, developmental trauma will also affect your attachment styles. So are you anxiously attached? Are you securely attached, for example? So if you are someone who enjoys the chase, someone who doesn't run doesn't appeal to you. So you are likely going to find yourself now going after the person who is giving you a chase. Then you catch them, then you catch them again. Then it becomes a cycle. So if you grew up in chaos, your nervous system does not understand what peace feels like, doesn't understand what calmness feels like. It will fall in love with what is familiar. And what is familiar may be the person that introduces chaos into your space. And chaos do not necessarily mean loud conflicts or all that. It could also be that sense of someone is here today and then tomorrow they give you silent treatment and then it feels nice to run to chase after them and then there's a comeback. then that feels nice, then that becomes a cycle of your relationship. Now, over time now, that silent treatment may become one of those things that become very toxic. Let me use the word toxic in that relationship, because now it becomes a cycle that you don't want to continue dealing with. But you see now, if you don't understand how healthy relationships look like, then you're not able to vet. Consistency may feel not exciting. Inconsistency may feel exciting. And it's very common in today's world where people are dating online and people are dating via technology and people are conversing, it's whereby you talk to someone today and they take 3 days to respond to you. And in between here and those 3 days, there's a lot of anxiety that has risen for you. And then they respond and you feel like finally they have come back and they have calmed that for you. So that may be what inconsistency looks like. So then consistency may look boring. This person who is always available, they're always there. So if you've been used to chaos growing up, you are in a home that was not peaceful, or you never felt the love that you received from your parents was never consistent, you are never sure of what to expect from them, then you're likely going to fall in love with somebody who presents similar dynamics or similar relational dynamics. So actually healing from developmental trauma, going back into your family of origin, into the experiences that you've gone through, how they affected your identity, how they affected your self-worth, how they affected how you understand love and what love looks and should feel like. Now, addressing that developmental trauma is really going to help you in as far as vetting in a healthy way is concerned. So the other thing is that if you grew up in a space where you're not heard, where your opinion does not matter, you're not able to freely express your feelings, and you learned that you need to suppress yourself, you can't be yourself, you can't listen to yourself because those feelings are not welcome at that point. Now, the dangerous or the detrimental bit about that is that you also learn to suppress your, what is it called? The gut, because there's no space to express yourself. So you also realize your expressions are unwanted. So your gut learns to suppress. So you may even meet someone and your gut is trying to tell you something. But because you have never learned how to trust your gut, because from the word go, from the space you grew up in, the space you have come from, you are wrong. You're always overly corrected. Your expressions are not welcome. You're told to keep quiet. So you learn to suppress that. So your gut could actually then be telling you something about this someone. But because you have never learned how to trust it, because it was not welcome, so even here you suppress it. So you go ahead and tick a box of everything else that this person is doing that is good, everything else that is good about them, and you ignore this one or two very subtle communications from your gut. A little bit of discomfort from your gut. But because maybe you have never really learned how to be expressive and to allow what you're feeling to come forth, so you ignore.
That's
So the gut
perfect.
is also,
Yes, I agree 100%.
yes, the gut is normally very critical in choosing the mate that is for you. Actually, someone may tick a lot of boxes. They may tick, 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 but there's just one thing that doesn't feel right. Because also that's how I felt. There's just this one thing about this person that didn't feel right. I didn't know, I couldn't pinpoint it, but when I'm in their presence, there's something that just initially, there's something that just didn't feel right. But because I had never learned how to be expressive or to listen to that part of me, to pay attention to it, I ignored it.
Exactly.
When I look back, the gut is the only thing that was telling me something was wrong, and I never listened to it.
And that's why it's so important to listen to your body. I can give you 3 examples. With the
Yes.
second relationship, the person that I'm annulled to, early on, he was in my house. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and I forget what he said, but I wanted to ask him to leave. But I was too
Mhm.
polite. I went to friends, and they said, no, it's okay. Another time, really early on, we weren't even dating. I was on my way to Montreal with 2 friends
Mhm.
to St. Joseph Oratory. And he texted me or messaged me. And he asked me what church should I go to. And I told him, And he said he's going there that weekend. And I was like, that's weird. And my friends were like, that's amazing. And I didn't sit right with me. And then
Mm-hmm.
he started next week. He wanted to go with me, and he was sitting in the first row when I arrived. And he does believe in God,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't going to church on a regular basis. And all of a sudden, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Third, and he no longer goes to church. Third was early on, he told me he loved me. And my reaction to that was, no, you don't,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know me well enough. And I told my friends, and again, they're like, oh, that's so good. And I was like, is it?
Mm-hmm.
But then I started to relax. And then I remember going to a friend, too, actually, a guy friend, a little bit later on, but not too deep into the relationship because there was a man that was not talking nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex wanted to be, whenever we were at parties, he wanted to hang out with him. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's not right. Like, if that guy's not treating me right, why does he want to be buddy buddy with him? And my friend said, you can't choose who he's going to be friends with. So I said, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But so it wasn't major things, but it was just little signs. And to me, yes, whomever you are with should care how you were treated and with worth,
Yeah.
self-worth, and respect. And so everyone, whoever cares about you, and even if they don't know you, every should care if a person's treated with self-respect.
Mm.
And what are the red flags and the green flags of relationships?
I think green flags, number one, should be consistency. Like, is this person showing up consistently? Are their actions and their words matching up? Do you feel seen, heard, and validated in a way that doesn't make you feel like you need to change yourself? Like your essence is wrong. And I'm not saying there are no things you can improve in a relationship. Of course, there are. But abusive relationships make you feel like your essence. You know that thing that makes you you. That one needs to change. If you ever feel yourself in a relationship where you feel like that thing that makes you you needs to change so that this other person can love you, can value you, can be in a relationship with you, then that's a red flag.
Mhm.
And like I've said, like we have said, learn to listen to your gut. Just pay attention to it. The moment your body starts to feel a certain kind of discomfort, don't just push it away. Don't rationalize it. Don't go seeking for external validation from friends and family. Go like, no, it's not a big deal. It's not. Just sit with your gut for a moment and go like, what is this that I'm feeling? Because on many occasions, it's a lack of safety. It's a lack of safety about this person. We say energies don't lie. So
Sorry?
maybe it's time energies do not lie.
What do you mean
And
by that?
the best way to sense energies is what are you feeling in the presence of that person? What are you feeling about something they said? What is your gut telling you? What are you feeling in the body? Are you feeling a bit of discomfort?
Mhm.
That should pay attention to. The moment you start feeling a bit of discomfort, even if there are many other things that tick the box, don't just invalidate it, sit with it, interrogate it for a moment. Make sure you understand what your gut is trying to tell you about this person and about the relationship that you're trying to create with them.
The relationship
Yeah.
you're trying to create. Okay. And no, I agree. The body doesn't lie. Listen to your body.
Yes.
And your friends and your family, they're not there. And one of the best pieces of advice, so it's really important to listen to yourself because you're the only
Yes.
one experiencing it. That is a personal experience.
Mm.
Second, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was actually
Mhm.
from a Catholic nun. And she told me that when you want something, say you want a great marriage, or you want to have a really good career, wherever you want, you don't go to your friends, you don't go to your family for advice. You go to the person who has what you want. So if you want a great marriage, you go to the best married couple that you think has the healthiest relationship, and you go to them. If you want to be a somatic practitioner, you go to the best
Yes.
somatic practitioner that you know, and you learn from them. If you want to be the best dog trainer, you go to the best dog trainer you know, or whatever it is in life. If you want to be the fittest person you can be, you go to the fittest person. And then you work on it and you train. It's like building a muscle. And just like listening to your body, it's like building a muscle. And I know since joining somatic and body processing, my body is learning. I'm learning to speak. I'm learning to hear my body. And my body definitely speaks to me. Especially lately, I've been hearing so much. And I'm learning to listen to my gut because your gut doesn't lie. And it's also a way that if you can listen to your mind and your body and bring it together and then reflect and pray about it, that's an easy way to help you discern what God is trying to tell you as well. Because God also speaks to us.
And sometimes, and often actually, God speaks in that still small voice.
Yes.
And that still small voice for many people, unfortunately, is lost in all the noise of your friends, what is happening around you. So you can easily push it down and listen to everybody else's.
Exactly. And when we're going, that's something I do, go. It can be difficult. We just need to stop and listen and hear. And then when we think we hear, say, am I really hearing this correctly, God? Right? And just pause for a moment.
Yeah.
Instead of just rushing in and taking our time. Because we have all of life. We have time. Nothing needs to be rushed.
Nothing needs to be rushed. And that bit you have talked about it very well, listening to your heart and connecting it with your mind and then with prayer. And the other day I was thinking of why some of us make very serious mistakes. And there's a scripture that came to mind. I want to read it. I want to make sure that I'm getting it right. There's a scripture that comes to mind. And Matthew 10:16 tells us, because this is a skill that many of us lack, or we don't know how to cultivate it. We don't know how to tap into it. That skill is called discernment. And discernment sometimes happens in those quiet, where you're really listening and you really are hearing. Shut out the noise from outside and just listen to what your heart, what your mind, what is your body telling you. Because in Matthew 10:16, we are told, behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. Now, what many of us lack, because being in an abusive relationship is a relationship that literally mauls you. It damages you, it tears you apart. What many of us is the ability to discern the wolf.
Sorry, to discern the what?
The wolf.
The
We are
roof?
told, I send
discern
you
the wolf. Yes.
Yes. I send you a sheep among the wolves. Many of us are sheep, but we don't have the ability to discern the wolf, especially for many women of faith. If the wolf comes and is speaking the right religious language, is holding the Bible in one hand, seems prayerful, is wearing the right religious attire, then unfortunately we are not able to see a wolf, if there is a wolf in there. So that ability to discern
That's a good
is
point.
something we need. Yes, is something we actually need to cultivate. And that discernment on many occasions will come in that connection that you've talked about. Listen to your gut, listen to your heart, listen to your mind, pray about it.
It's
Don't
very
be so
true.
quick to believe what everybody else outside is saying because they're not experiencing how you're experiencing it. So after you have listened to every other advice, always come back to your center, to your grounding.
It's true. And I know personally, I know women that have got into relationships or marriages that have married very devout Christian men,
Mhm.
and they find themselves in an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
And that person may be very devout to God, but they may also have emotional struggles
Mhm.
and they need healing.
Mhm.
And that can take time. And a woman should not be putting up with it. We need to put up our boundaries. Boundaries are huge. We need to
Yeah.
make sure we are safe and our children are safe,
Yes.
because if we wait until they're healthy, we will not be healthy. Our nervous system will be wrecked, and it can have a major impact on children as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And part of boundary setting, like we say, boundaries are huge. It's also to understand that you're not in control of the other person's emotions, their thoughts, or their behavior. You may want the best for them, like genuinely want the best for them, and even be willing to support them. But it is their responsibility to seek for healing. You can't do that's the bit you can't do for them.
And that was me, 100%. And I heard that more than once. You cannot bring a horse, you can bring a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's with
100%.
many women, that they
Yes.
want the best for them. They care about them. I care about them.
Yes.
I want the best for them.
Yes.
I can only take care of my healing. I can
Mm-hmm.
bring them to the water, but they need to do their own healing work. And
Yeah.
healing is not just once a week in a therapy session, it's every day. And I believe healing combines mind, body, and soul. And if one
Oh,
is hurting, it's going to
yeah.
impact the whole body, the whole
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah.
And it can be a slow process.
Yeah.
And some of the green flags of a relationship, I would say huge respect,
Mm-hmm.
cherishing the person, honesty,
Mm-hmm.
being open and honest
Yeah.
is so important. If you can't trust the person, the foundation is gone.
Yeah. True.
And if even if you're angry at the person, not calling them names or lashing out or going silent, discussing, being open with them. These are all healthy signs of a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Being direct, being sincere, right? None of us are perfect. We're all going to have our triggers. We're all going to need healing. Um, we all need things, we all have things we need to work on. But those are just some basic foundations that we all need. And a person that maybe is open to their healing and working on their healing, right? And are own up to their own stuff. That's a big one, owning up to their own stuff. And when they make mistakes, say, hey, I made a mistake here,
Mm, mm, mm.
right? Because no one's perfect.
Yeah.
And would there any green flags you'd like to add to?
Yes. And the other green flag I would want to add is that safety.
Pardon?
Safety.
Safety.
safety, and especially emotional safety. The moment you start to feel like you can't express yourself freely, and but when I say expressing yourself freely, I don't mean that now you have a right to say anything anyhow, but does this person have capacity to hold your vulnerabilities, your difficult emotions that you express without them using those things against you at a later date? Because unfortunately, that's a space many women have found themselves in. You can't be vulnerable with this person because the moment they understand your vulnerability, they weaponize it. And this is also for the woman who could be watching this. Are you also a safe space? Or you are the one who holds somebody's vulnerabilities and weaponizes it to use it at a future date for your own whatever reason or for your own benefit? So that ability to be safe is a huge green flag. Does this person have capacity to hold your vulnerability without feeling like they are going to use it against you at a later date? If you can't, then maybe you are not in a very healthy relationship. And there may be some work that requires to be done.
Can you tell us about racial abuse?
Yeah, racial abuse is a situation where somebody uses your race or their race to demean you or to belittle you, to make you feel less than, to make you feel unworthy in a relationship. And it's all abuse is always about power and control. So if you're experiencing racial abuse, it could be a situation where somebody thinks their race is superior than yours, or you are inferior to them because you come from a certain race, a certain ethnicity, a certain skin color, whatever. That can be racial abuse. And just like Erin said, we need to speak up about it. Don't keep quiet. And also ask yourself whether you are allowing it to happen, because you may also be thinking the other person's race is superior to yours. Because those are some of the things that you may need to address when you're addressing abuse. Because one of the reasons as to why many women get stuck in abusive relationships is about the mindset and the core beliefs. What is the core belief that you carry about this person? And their race, for example, now that we're talking about racial abuse, could there actually be a part of you that thinks that their race is more superior than yours? So therefore, you find yourself enduring abusive behavior that you shouldn't be enduring.
And what would be signs of racial abuse?
Maybe somebody commenting negatively about your skin color, your origin, where you come from, your people's behaviors, your people's mannerisms, or feeling like they hold the key to life, especially for women that have seen being immigrants. You are an immigrant, you're in a different country, and your citizenship is based on you being married to this person. They could actually use that against you to make you feel like you need to toe the line, that you need to behave in a certain way to just survive, like barely survive. If you don't toe the line, they are going to cancel, they are going to invalidate your citizenship or something, and you feel like you are now trapped because you are a completely different race or different ethnicity from the person, and they seem to hold the power because of their race.
And this is
Yeah.
often learned. And there's less than there was in the past. But I want to make it a point to say today
Mm-hmm.
that racism definitely does exist. I know even in my own town,
Yeah.
it's not okay. I believe it's learned often, but it's not okay. All of my nephews, all of my nieces are Black. I do not want them to experience any hatred ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
Mm-hmm.
friends that are from Africa. I have friends that are from India, and they have experienced racism. Maybe not in a dating relationship or a marriage, but just out in society. I have a friend that is Black, and she said she doesn't always feel welcome um, because not everyone wants her in the room because she's Black. And that is a horrible way to feel. That is not okay. It shouldn't matter if a person is white, Black, brown, purple. It doesn't change the value of a person. It does not change the dignity and self-worth of a person. We're all created in God's image.
Yeah.
And I would just like to have everyone stop and think about that just for a moment. Because we all have our weaknesses and we all have our strengths. But the skin color, where we're from, does not have an impact on who we are.
I agree.
And can we address spiritual abuse?
Yes, because even spiritual abuse is real. And spiritual abuse is where somebody uses scripture, religious teachings, religious scripture to make you feel less than, or to make you feel like God is on their side and he's not on your side.
And I know women that
And,
have experienced this, and it's
sorry?
psychologically damaging.
It's very psychologically damaging because one of the safest places to run is to God. I mean, we always run to God when we're in trouble. We always run to God. We're always praying to God. So the moment somebody makes you feel like you can't go to God because even God disapproves of you, even God disapproves of what you're doing, and God is on my side, regardless of the pain that I'm causing you, God is on my side somehow. It's psychologically damaging because now it isolates you proper. You don't even feel safe to go to God. And that is one of the tactics that an abusive person will use. Because one of the tactics that abusive people use is isolation. So they'll talk ill about your friends so that you have no support. They'll talk ill about your family if they can alienate you and make sure you are missing your family reunions. And in a long time, you haven't talked to your sister. Your sister doesn't know what is going on. They don't like people to know what is going on. That's why they tell you to keep quiet.
Yes, they
Because if
self-isolate.
somebody else, exactly, if somebody else knows what's going on, they're like, no, 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 that's not right. Why is so and so treating you that way? No, I'm going to talk to them. So they don't like the news coming out. So it's isolation. They also don't want you to have friends who can empower you, who can help you see what is happening in your space and start planting ideas of there's something you can do about it. Because one of the things that abuse does is that they want to colonize your mind. They want to make sure that you're thinking what they want you to think. You're doing what they want you to do. So part of that isolation goes even into your spiritual space, whereby they want you to feel like you're isolated from God. Even God doesn't like you that much. Even God doesn't approve you. Actually, God is on my side and he's not on your side. The moment you start to feel that way, then it becomes a very helpless situation. It's very emotionally and psychologically damaging to start feeling like you have no, even with God, you have no space.
That's
Even with
taking
God,
away
you
your
have no.
safety. Like if I'm at
Yes,
my
it's,
bottom, when I was at my rock bottom and I was in fetal position, I was going to the church. I was going to God.
yes,
You take that away from me, what do I have left?
nothing.
That's extremely traumatic.
Yes, it is. But it's done a lot, a lot. You try to hold somebody accountable, they remove scripture. They tell you they are the head of the home,
I know,
for
I know,
example.
I know. Even like when I started to go to people for help, I was told that I was not called to have children, and I was called to take care of him. I was told this is my cross to carry,
Mm.
and I'm supposed to take care of him,
Yeah.
right? I was told that if he's going to counseling to not abuse me, I should go to counseling to learn how to put up with the abuse. I was told that if a child grows up without a father in the house, the child would become a psychopath. And these
Mm.
were from people that go to church.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they were trying to be malicious. This is what they thought. And I'm not saying people who go to church, this is what they do. I go to church
Yes.
and I believe you go to
Yes.
church. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
We are
Yeah.
not okay with this. I'm
We
speaking
are
out
not.
against this today.
Yes.
Um, but there is psychological abuse and it can come from everywhere, from
Yeah.
different people, right? Um, then there's also sexual abuse, and that's
Mm.
more common than people would like to believe. And that can cause a lot of shame,
Yeah.
isolation, anxiety, depression,
Yes.
and we need to name it and we need to make
Mm-hmm.
it aware.
Mm.
And this can be difficult to talk about, but we need to make
Yeah.
it is okay to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no shame if it's a person's experienced it. It doesn't devalue the person.
Yeah.
It has no impact
Mm-hmm.
on the person's value.
Yeah.
It's the other person who did
Mm.
it. And obviously they have major problems for a person
Mm.
to do that to another person. And this all comes back to trauma.
Yeah.
And if we can learn, we can all start our healing journey, that will start to decrease all of this and start to
Yeah.
become more understanding of society and start to name things. Because once we put
Mm-hmm.
a name to it, it gives ourself power over the
Yeah.
situation. It gives us understanding.
Yeah.
People that abuse, do they ever change?
The people that are abused, there's hope and healing for victims of abuse. There's hope and healing for victims of abuse.
What
And
about
for
people that abuse though? Do they ever change?
it depends on someone's willingness to seek for help. There are some people who will not allow themselves to get into a therapeutic space because therapy and healing requires vulnerability, and they may not have capacity to be vulnerable. They may not
Or
have
be too
capacity to be
scared to be?
sorry.
Or be too scared to be vulnerable?
Yeah, maybe
And
they're
a
too
lot
scared
of
to be
people
vulnerable.
that abuse
Yes,
are actually in their dorsal vagal. Did you know that? And then
yes,
they can go into
yes.
their obviously sympathetic when they go into rage, but they're in their dorsal vagal.
Yeah,
They're in
yeah.
like
And
shutdown. They're emotionally numb,
yes,
low empathy,
emotionally. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Lack
Yeah,
of emotional intelligence,
yes.
lack capacity,
Mm-hmm.
and learned behavior.
Yes.
And a lot of it is not necessarily always conscious. Sometimes it's subconscious
Very
and it's
subconscious.
coming
Yeah.
out from what they learned as a child. And
Mm.
um,
Or even their own adaptation mechanisms.
sorry?
Sometimes it's even their own adaptation mechanisms to difficult situations. So maybe they went through very difficult childhoods. So they learned that the only way to adapt is to fight.
Hmm.
So anything that threatens them, even accountability, because sometimes accountability can be threatening.
Sorry?
So I'm saying, so some of them learned that the only way to deal with a threat is to fight it.
Right. That's the only way they feel safe.
That's the only way they feel safe. So I was trying to affirm what you're saying. It can be very subconscious. It could be an adaptation mechanism that they have learned over years and over time. So unless they are willing to allow themselves to be vulnerable, to be brought through the healing process, then they will continue to respond in the same way. And then their relationships will continue to break or just be dysfunctional. But unless someone is willing to be vulnerable, to present themselves for healing and present themselves to be held accountable and to be vulnerable,
On a
then healing,
consistent basis,
yes, on a
long
consistent
term.
basis,
This is long term.
yes, long term, then healing may be very evasive for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do we support a loved one that refuses to leave an abusive relationship?
I think first is to understand your responsibility is not to make them leave.
Pardon me?
No? Your responsibility as a relative or as a loved one to someone who is stuck in an abusive relationship is not to make them leave.
How
Because
do
the
we
reasons they
support
are not
them?
the reasons they are not leaving could be very psychological. So it is for them to empower them in information, maybe let them know that you are there to support them, whatever their decision looks like. If they call on you, show up. Because walking away from an abusive relationship may not be as easy as it looks. Wake up, pack, and go. There are so many other things that somebody may be considering. And some of those things you may not even understand them yourself. So what if you became their consistent source of support? Always educating them, always bringing them on alert. You might keep telling them this thing. I know you're not ready to walk away from it, but A, B, C, D is very detrimental to you. But just be consistently available support. But don't make it your responsibility to make sure they are leaving the relationship.
And giving them a
That's
safe.
not, sorry?
Go ahead.
Because it can really frustrate you. And that is now a boundary crossing. It's a boundary violation.
And giving them a safe place to go. That you are
Yes,
giving
yes,
yourself as
yes,
a safe person because they need safety, and inviting them on activities and places that create safety and
yes,
also can help with their nervous system.
yes,
Because when
yes.
you're in an abusive relationship, it does a lot of damage to your nervous system.
Mm,
And it takes time. And I know somatic processing has helped me a lot with my nervous system.
yeah.
I was self-isolating, so much shame, anxiety, and it's a journey. But on this
Mm,
journey, it's a self-discovery, and you start to learn more
yeah,
on the way.
yeah.
And what made you interested in somatic processing and body processing?
It's because I realized in the course of my work, I was dealing with a lot of women, because I mainly deal with women who have been through deeply traumatic uh, situations and incidents in their lives. And I felt talk therapy and cognitive behavior therapy helps, but there's a part of where trauma is stored in the body that I required some somatic uh, experience to be able to help them to fully process the trauma at a soma level in the body.
Mm-hmm. So it's the
Yes.
missing piece of the puzzle.
Yes. So I felt it was a missing piece of the puzzle. And when I put that into that puzzle, I'm likely my clients are likely going to have better outcomes than when I don't have that as part of my practice.
Because trauma is trapped in the body.
Yes, because trauma is really stored in the body. Yes.
Just like the book, the body keeps a score.
Yes.
And final question, what advice do you give to people that are in abusive relationships that want to get out?
People that are in abusive relationships and want to get out fast, I want you to know that abuse thrives on silence. So start speaking. And the first person you may need to start speaking to is yourself. You may need to start telling yourself the truth of what that relationship is doing to you and doing to your children, if you have children, to be specific. And when I say doing to you, what is it doing to you mentally, psychologically, physically? Start speaking that truth to yourself. Don't minimize the effects and the implications. The moment you start to speak about it, find a safe space, either to process those emotions, whether it's a therapeutic space, get yourself somebody who is able to help you process the trauma that you have been through, and get an exit plan. Get an exit plan. If you need to leave the relationship, what are the things I need to have in place? Where would I go? Who would I talk to? What resources would I require for myself? What resources would I require to support my children if you have children? But don't just allow yourself to continue sitting in a space that is literally threatening your life, that is creating a lot of anxiety in your nervous system and introducing maybe even all manner of illnesses just for the sake of doing it. Allow yourself to speak truth to self. And the moment you start speaking truth to yourself, truth is what sets you free. And then open your eyes to the safe resources that you require and the safe resources that are around you to help you come up with an exit plan and eventually leave.
And with your children, often when we're in abusive relationships, we like to just hide it from our children, pretend everything's normal. I
Yes.
have many friends that are adults that grew up in abusive homes. This can be damaging.
Yes.
Don't let your kids think this is normal. They grew up thinking it's normal, and then they need to start their healing journey. It's better to point it out. Tell them how it makes you feel. That doesn't mean pin the other parent, your kids against the other parent. That's unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But putting up the boundaries, pointing out unhealthy behavior. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Don't hide it from the children, because sometimes even when you think you're hiding, your children can see.
And I think it's best to talk to your children. Be open. Allow
Yes.
them to come and talk to you
Yes.
about everything, about anything. And be that safe place for your children.
Yeah.
Because they need
Actually,
it.
I wanted to say, yeah. I
They're
wanted to
going
say
through
be
it
a safe
too.
space. Yeah. Yes.
And it
I've
isn't
I've I've
impacting them. Sorry, go ahead.
I've unfortunately had women who come into my healing space saying, I feel like I've been through an abusive marriage that is not mine. It's my parents. But the chaos I've experienced and seen in that relationship of theirs and the way it has affected me, I actually feel like I've been through an abusive marriage. That's very sad for a child to say.
That is
It's
sad.
not her marriage. Yeah, it's not her marriage, but she's been abused in the midst of it.
Mhm.
So it's good that you become a safe space for your child. It's good that you have these conversations. And like Erin has said, you're not talking about pinning the other parent against their own kids, but be a safe space where you can have these honest conversations. And if your children are struggling, get them the help that they need.
Exactly.
Get them the help that they need.
And don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Because you're not, if you're the one being abused, you're not doing anything wrong. So
Yes.
don't be afraid. Okay? I know I had
Yes.
to make a couple calls before. I was not afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Don't be afraid. You're not at fault. Allow your kids to talk to you about anything they need and create that
Yes.
safe place for them and find your own safe place.
Yes. And finally, let me say, healing or walking away from an abusive relationship actually gives your children an opportunity to get the best version of you. Because when you are walking around on eggshells trying to recover from abuse, you actually are not the best version.
I agree
So
with that.
healing is for you and for your children. Now they finally get to see their mom for who she is versus the mom that is in survival mode.
100%. I agree with
Yes.
that. And I have lived it. Thank you so much for joining today.
Yes.
We will be leaving both of our contact information below. If you're interested in a session, reach out. We're happy to help you. And stay safe. I invite everyone to share this today because we need to have people become more aware. Because 1 in 3 women is far too many women. It's our sisters, our daughters, our mothers, our aunts, our friends. Let's say no to abuse today and let's share this. Let's stand up to abuse and say no.